Some major cloud providers such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud sell homogeneous cloud services in dozens of different regions throughout the world. And one important question that the cloud provider faces in this setting is the question of how the cloud provider should try to steer customer demand towards different locations. And the intuition that some people have in this setting is that the cloud provider should try to steer customer demand towards regions with low capacity utilization rates to improve utilization rates in those regions. But while that may seem economically optimal at first, we discovered that the opposite strategy is economically optimal, and in fact, steering customers to regions with high utilization rates can lead to a noticeable cost savings. And the reason that steering customers to regions with higher utilization rates will be better for a cloud provider has to do with the underlying reasons that regions have different utilization rates. So here, larger regions will have less uncertainty in demand relative to the size of the region. So a cloud provider will not need to provision as much capacity relative to expected demand to have a high probability of being able to meet demand in a large region, and large regions will therefore tend to have higher utilization rates. But because the cloud provider does not need to provision as much capacity relative to expected demand in a large region, the cloud provider also does not need to build out as much additional capacity in response to new demand in order to continue to be able to meet demand with a high probability. And for this reason, it is better for a cloud provider to steer new demand to a large region with high utilization rates than to a small region with low utilization rates. And we show that this is true both theoretically and empirically using data from Microsoft Azure. We also illustrate that cloud providers will use lower prices in larger locations and that the expected fraction of demand that will be unfilled will be lower in larger regions. And finally, we also present an analysis of hyperflexible customers who can be migrated from region to region.